Ah, so, the golden child fell asleep at the wheel. The chosen one, huh? The favorite, the fighter, the one who was supposed to rise above it all. Only now you're sitting there, blank stare, heavy breath, wondering where all the fire went. Isn't that something? All that potential, all that destiny, and now you're dragging your feet like the rest of them. But let's not pretend it disappeared. Motivation doesn't just vanish. It doesn't evaporate. It dies. Piece by piece, day by day, suffocated by noise, drained by expectations, starved by routine. You didn't lose it. You watched it bleed out and did nothing. Or maybe you tried once or twice, but no one talks about how heavy the crown feels when it starts to rust. Oh, they love to say you're lazy now, don't they? That you gave up, that you lost your spark, that you used to be something. Used to be. As if motivation is some magical juice that just leaks out. But the truth is, you didn't lose anything. No, you outgrew it. You evolved. The things that used to light you up, they just don't fit anymore, like an old mask. Like a costume 2 sizes too small. You try to squeeze into it, pretend it still feels right, and wonder why it chokes the breath out of you. See, people think motivation is this fixed thing, that once you've got it, you're supposed to cling to it forever. Same goals, same drive, same dreams, like you're not allowed to change. Like if it excited you once, it should excite you always. But that's the trap, isn't it? Growth doesn't come with warning signs. It creeps in, quiet, subtle. One day the thing you swore you'd die for just doesn't do it for you anymore. Not because it was fake, because you've changed. But oh, no one tells you that part. No one celebrates the death of an old dream. They just call you unmotivated. It's cute, really. They look at you like you've fallen, like you've let the fire go out. But the fire's still there. It's just looking for a new home, a new reason to burn. You're not broken, sweetheart. You're searching. And they don't get it because they've built their whole lives around chasing things that never really belonged to them. Titles, trophies, applause. And now you're walking away from the very same things they'd sell their soul for. Of course they don't understand. They say, why don't you push harder? Push. Push toward what? Toward the same brick wall you've already hit 100 times. Toward a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. They want you to keep performing, keep smiling, keep running in circles for a prize that feels more like a chain than a crown. But you've seen behind the curtain now, haven't you? You've tasted success, or what they told you was success, and it didn't fill the hole. Didn't sing the way they promised it would. And now you're done playing nice. You used to be driven by validation, didn't you? Likes, claps, gold stars. You danced to that tune like the good little puppet they trained you to be. But now, the strings feel heavy. The stage feels small. You didn't lose your motivation. You outgrew the circus. You woke up one day and realized the applause wasn't worth the cost. And when that realization hits, oh, it hits hard. It feels like burnout, depression, failure, but it's not. It's freedom with a hangover. You're not lazy. You're just done pretending, Done chasing recycled goals. Done forcing yourself to care about things that never truly mattered to you in the first place. That old motivation, it was survival. It was compliance. It was performance. And now your soul wants something real. Not flashy, not shallow, not painted in glitter and sold as gold. The danger isn't that you lost your fire. The danger is thinking you have to go back to the old fire to find it again. You don't. Fires burn out so new ones can begin. You're in the ashes now, sure, but that's where the truth hides. That's where you find what actually matters, not the stuff you were told to chase, but the stuff that calls to you in the quiet, when no one's watching, when all the masks are off. So let them talk. Let them say you lost your edge, your drive, your hunger. Smile and nod, because they don't realize, while they're still running in circles, chasing their old scripts, you're writing something new, something that scares you, something that doesn't come with a manual, but something true. That's not failure, that's transformation. That's not losing your way. That's finally stepping off the stage and learning how to breathe without a spotlight on your face. And maybe they'll never get it. Maybe they'll keep poking at your old skin, waiting for the old version of you to come back. But that version is gone. And that's not a tragedy. That's not a loss. That's the beginning of something no one else gets to define but you. Oh, the weight of being the chosen one. It sounds glamorous, doesn't it? Like a crown placed on your head at birth. Like the world whispered in your ear, you're meant for more. And for a while you believed it. You carried that title like armor. Chest out, eyes up, marching like a soldier through storms most people would never survive. People clapped, people watched, people expected. And no one ever asked how much it hurt. Because when you're chosen, you're not allowed to break. You're not allowed to sit down. You're not allowed to be human. They handed you a spotlight and called it a gift. But spotlights burn, don't they? They don't warm you, they expose you. Every crack, every doubt, every tired breath under a microscope. You smile for the cameras, but inside you're screaming. And no one hears it. Because when you're the strong one, the driven one, the destined one, they stop checking if you're okay. They assume you're built different, that you don't get tired like the rest of them. That motivation runs in your veins like blood. And when it doesn't, when it flickers, you feel like a fraud. It's funny, when others struggle, they get sympathy. But when you slow down, they look confused. What happened? They ask, like you're a broken machine. Like your pain must mean something's wrong with you, not with the pressure they dumped on your shoulders. You carried their expectations, their hopes, their image of who you're supposed to be. And somewhere in the process, you lost touch with who you really are. But no one talks about that. No one talks about how heavy it gets when you're not chasing your dream anymore. You're just trying not to disappoint everyone else. So now you sit there, staring at the ceiling, wondering where the fire went, wondering why the grind doesn't feel holy anymore, why the hustle tastes bitter. And the truth? You didn't lose motivation, you lost permission. Permission to rest. Permission to admit you're tired. Permission to question everything without being labeled weak. Because chosen ones aren't supposed to doubt. They're not supposed to fall apart. They're supposed to rise. Every time. And maybe you're just sick of rising. Maybe you want to lie there for a minute and breathe without someone calling it failure. They call it a blessing, this label. But sometimes it's a cage wrapped in gold. You're not chasing your purpose anymore. You're running from the shame of not living up to it fast enough. And that shame eats at you, quietly, behind the curtain. You should be further by now. You were meant for more. That voice, that pressure, it isn't motivation. It's a ticking bomb. And every day you don't feel inspired, you feel closer to explosion. Not because you're lazy, but because you've been running on empty while smiling through the crash. And let's be honest, maybe you're not just tired, maybe you're angry. Angry that the world built you up, told you you were special, but never taught you how to rest. Angry that the same people who cheer you on are nowhere to be found when the fire dims. Angry that you're expected to save everyone but can't save yourself. They love you when you shine, but where are they when you flicker? Where's the applause when you're dragging yourself out of bed just to You were never just chosen for greatness. You were chosen to carry burdens that weren't yours. Expectations from people who never lived your life. Dreams that were handed to you, not built by you. And maybe now, finally, you're starting to see the difference. The difference between what you want and what you've been told to chase. Between real drive and performative success. Between being alive and just performing aliveness. So if you've lost your fire, maybe it's because the fire wasn't yours to begin with. Maybe the version of motivation you knew was built on proving people wrong, on proving people right, on staying ahead, on being perfect. But now your soul wants something raw, something slower, something honest. And that scares the hell out of everyone who only ever saw you as the strong one. But here you are, cracked, unsure, quiet. And that doesn't make you less chosen. That makes you real. And maybe, just maybe, real is what you needed all along. Oh, we love the idea of rising up, don't we? It sounds so neat, so clean, like one day you're here, and the next you're on top of the world, victorious, unbeatable. We think motivation is this magic switch you clip and suddenly everything clicks. But that's the lie, isn't it? Because what they don't tell you is that you don't just rise. You're broken into pieces first. You have to burn before you shine. And when it starts happening, when you hit the floor for the first time and feel like you're not going to get back up, the world doesn't stop to tell you this is part of it. No, they tell you to fight through it, to hustle harder, to keep going. But what they don't get is that sometimes the only thing that gets you through the fire is falling into it. Sometimes you need to burn. You need to break. It's not failure, no, it's reconstruction. It's ugly, messy, painful, but it's also how you learn. The greatest version of you It doesn't exist until you've been ripped apart. And the truth is, most people are terrified of that, of the breaking. They'd rather stay in the safety of what they know, even if what they know isn't working. But you're chosen to rise, and the price of rising is loss. You've been fed this fantasy that motivation is about jumping from one success to another, but that's not how it works. You can't soar without scraping your wings on the ground. You can't climb without first crawling. They all talk about success like it's a straight line, but the reality, it's a labyrinth. You get lost, you get confused, you doubt, you cry, you get stuck in a corner where no one can hear you scream. And that's when the real test starts. Not when the world's watching, not when you're winning, but when the curtain's down and all you have is you. But no one tells you that part. Instead, they just give you the Instagram quotes and the hustle until you drop slogans. But they don't talk about the breakdowns, the quiet moments, when you wonder if it's all worth it. The moments when you feel like you're losing. The truth, you are. You're losing old versions of yourself that weren't meant to make it through this journey. And it hurts. But that's how you know it's real. If you never feel the sting, you never know how good the healing can be. So you fall, you get knocked down, you lose the game. You lose the friends, the opportunities, the pieces of yourself that you thought were untouchable. And in the quiet of your failure, the world starts to spin differently. You begin to question everything. Was it worth it? And here's the kicker. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe all the things you chased, all the dreams you fought for were just shiny distraction. Maybe, just maybe, the only reason you were chasing them was because someone told you you had to. Because everyone else said that's what success looked like. But it's not. And when everything crumbles, when you have nothing left to hold on to except your raw, messy, real self, that's when the truth hits you. You don't need anyone's permission to start over. You don't need a perfect moment. You need the pain. You need the chaos. You need the moments when you felt like you'd never get up again, because those moments will be the ones that actually teach you what you're made of. See, it's all about perspective, isn't it? The world tells you that failure is the end of the story. But for the chosen ones, for the ones who are meant to rise, failure is just the beginning of a new story. The messy one, the one with scars, cracks, and ugly truths. That's where the real power comes from. Not from the shiny moments of triumph, but from the broken pieces you pick up off the floor and turn into something stronger. But you're never told this. No. You're only told to fight, to hustle, to rise, without ever being warned that the rise comes after you fall. And so here you are, wondering if you've lost it, wondering if you're just tired, or if you're never gonna get back up. But the thing is, you've been chosen to rise. But first, you had to lose what was never yours. And in that loss, that's where you find the real power. The power to rebuild. The power to say, I fell, I lost, I failed. But I'm not done. I'm just getting started. And that's the shift. That's the true rise. Not the leap from success to success, but the crawl from failure to resilience. The crawl that will eventually turn into your greatest victory. You ever notice how people love to say they're just trying to survive? They wear it like a badge, don't they? Oh, I'm just getting by, they say, as if that's some noble thing. Surviving is overrated. No, I'm not saying you should go off and become some wild, reckless force of chaos. But let's get real for a second. People talk about survival like it's the pinnacle of strength, like it's the goal, and that's the trap. Survival isn't about thriving. It's not about living. It's about keeping your head down, closing your eyes, and just existing. It's the lowest bar you could set for yourself, and yet they act like it's a miracle to simply crawl from one day to the next. But here's the thing, you weren't made to just get through. You weren't made to just survive. You were made to live, to thrive, to break barriers, to explode through the nonsense and carve a path where there was none. You weren't meant to sit in the background, play by the rules, and keep your nose clean. And now you're stuck in this endless cycle of getting by. But getting by isn't living. It's just existing long enough to get comfortable in your own cage, convinced that there's nothing beyond those iron bars. But here's the question no one wants to ask. What if the cage wasn't meant for you? You think surviving is enough, don't you? You think that just holding on, just enduring, is some kind of victory. But look closely, and you'll see something ugly in that narrative. All you're doing is postponing the inevitable. The pain, the frustration, the realization that life isn't about surviving the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. But not everyone is brave enough to step out into the downpour. People cling to their umbrellas, hide under their shelter, and wait for the world to stop spinning. They wait for the pain to fade. But guess what? It doesn't. Pain doesn't go away because you ignore it. It waits. It waits until it finds a crack in your armor, until it pushes through the walls you've spent so much time building around yourself. And that's when it gets real. That's when you start to realize that surviving isn't enough anymore. It never was. The problem is we're all taught to be strong. We're told that the strongest people are the ones who keep their heads down, keep their mouths shut, and keep going. But what if strength isn't about enduring endless suffering? What if true strength is found in embracing the chaos, in facing the pain head on and saying, I'm not afraid of you anymore? You don't get stronger by pretending you're fine while everything inside is crumbling. You get stronger by owning your struggle, by letting it shape you into something more. Surviving is the easy path. It's the comfortable path. But comfort breeds complacency. And when you're complacent, when you're just existing, you miss the point entirely. You waste your days waiting for something outside of you to change, waiting for life to hand you a reason to be motivated, waiting for the stars to align, for everything to fall into place. But that's not how it works. You don't find motivation in waiting. You find it in fighting. You find it in the struggle. You find it in the moments when you're broken, when you're bruised, when you're crawling through the dirt, but you get up anyway. That's where real strength lies. Not in surviving, but in thriving through the storm. You were never meant to just survive. You were never meant to sit in the corner of life and pray the world doesn't notice you. No, you were meant to stand in the middle of it, loud, messy, unapologetic. You were meant to take the chaos and mold it into something that fits you. You were meant to break the mold. So why are you still hiding? Why are you still waiting? Because that's the game they've got you playing. That's what they want you to do. They want you to stay small. They want you to believe that surviving is enough. And they win every time you buy into that lie. They win every time you let yourself stay stuck, but you're not stuck. Not really. You're just choosing to stand still, pretending that you're moving forward while you're actually just staying in the same place. Pretending that surviving is enough while the world passes you by. And that's the thing. You are the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live. Not the circumstances, not the setbacks, not the failures, just you. So stop pretending like surviving is the goal. Stop pretending that scraping by is something to be proud of. You're better than that. You were born for more. But first, you have to realize that you've been living a half-life, waiting for someone else to give you permission to really start living. Surviving doesn't make you a hero. Living does. Thriving does. Getting up, no matter how hard you fall. Pushing forward, even when you feel like giving up. That's when the real journey begins. That's when you stop existing and start becoming everything you were always meant to be.